I got a cheese fountain, and it's way grosser than I anticipated.
The humiliation. You know, I asked my husband, I cried for days. And you don't know how many people are laughing at.
Fountains and fails can sometimes go hand in hand, but your fountain does not have to be a fail. Here's some hacks to make sure that your fountain turns out as a success. First hack, check the size of your bowls to make sure that when the water spills out over the edge of the bowl, it will actually land in the bowl below it. If the bowl is small enough, it will. If the bowl is too big, then the water will splash out and not land in the bowl below it. But there is a hack to fix this. We could drill holes in the corner of the bowl, and that way the water would spill out from the holes instead of spilling out from the edge of the fountain. These holes will need to be drilled into the corner of the bowl, so use a tool to mark out a circle all around the corner of the bowl. Then make little tick marks on that circle to plan out the spacing for your spouts. Then use the tip of a fettling knife to slowly drill through the bowl using a twisting motion. Don't press hard as you do this, allow the twisting motion to gradually carve through the clay. Make sure the holes are spaced far enough out along the corner of the bowl so that you still have room to attach a stand to the bottom. Clean the holes up using a brush, some clay tools, and re-drilling them a couple times to get nice, clean holes. Another thing you can do if your medium bowl is too big is get rid of it. No, wait, don't get rid of it. Repurpose it. That medium bowl would make a great stand. We could flip that upside down, put the big bowl on top of it, and then use the little bowl as the fountain and have a two-tiered fountain on top of a stand. That could be a great look. Sometimes, if your bowl is just a little bit too big and it looks like that water is going to be splashing out and not landing down in the bowl below it, all you have to do is actually just make your spouts curve in a little bit more and sit a little closer to your bowl. So use a little bit of water, a little bit of pressure, forming, smoothing, smushing the clay to get that spout to be close to the bowl and angling straight down instead of angling out. Shout out to Aiden. I'm using her bowls as an example here, and they have great sizing, great spouts. This fountain is going to be amazing. Hack number 3. To make sure the water actually comes out of the spouts and doesn't spill over top of your bowl, you need to make sure that your spouts are deep enough. This spout here was too shallow, so I'm going to run my fingers along that spout and deepen it. Press it down, eroding that coil, getting all the way down to the walls of the bowl. Supporting the walls as I do this to protect them. Forming the shape of the spout. But most importantly, making sure that spout is deep enough so that the water can flow out of it. Hack number 4. If your medium bowl is kind of smallish, it may be hard to get a small enough bowl for the top tier of your fountain without that water spilling out and missing the medium bowl. But luckily, you can make an even smaller size bowl using the pinch pot method. The pinch pot method starts by rolling clay into a ball, an oval, or egg shape, and then pressing your thumb down in and stopping when your thumb is about a pinky's width from the bottom. Then spin and pinch a little bit at a time all along the bottom of the bowl until it's pinky thick. Then you can move up to the middle of the bowl. You never really need to pinch the top of the bowl much. It will get thin on its own. Make sure this bowl stays tall and skinny so that it doesn't become too wide for the bowl below it. Then form your spouts. Support the walls of the pinch bowl as you do this so that it doesn't become wider, and there will probably only be room for 2 spouts on a bowl this size. Now, to turn this into a working spout for the top of your fountain, you will need to drill a hole down in the bottom of the bowl and make a stand for it to rest on top of, which will also need to be made with a pinch bowl. Roll the clay into a ball or oval, press your thumb in until it's a pinky's width from the bottom, pinch along the bottom of the bowl, and voila. Make sure your pinch bowls are thick and neat. To attach these 2 pieces, you'll need to scratch up the bottom of the fountain bowl and the top of the stand. Dab them with water and press together as firmly as possible without messing up the shapes. Stitching the seam and even rolling out a little baby snake, dipping it in water and wrapping it around that seam will increase the strength. smooth it out, and then drill through the stand to make sure that the water tube can come up all the way to the top of the fountain. So that little fountain top and stand is looking good. Time to recycle some clay. Why is my face in the scrap bin? Who even am I? Why are we here? What are we doing? Snap out of it, man. You've got work to do. Sorry about that. Let's talk stands. The biggest hack for stands, especially the bottom stand, is finding the right size mold. The mold shouldn't be so big that it sits along the walls and sides of your bowl, but it shouldn't be so small either that it sits in the middle and is too small to hide the fountain pump and motor. It should be the right size to sit right along the bottom corner of your bowl. For the bowl I'm using here, this glass bowl is the perfect size mold. Now, if I can just get it out. There we go. For a smaller bowl, you would choose a smaller size mold. This little sauce dish should be the perfect size. Now, for small molds, it's really easy to roll your clay out too thin. I'm gonna roll, and then I'm gonna stop. And I'm gonna check, and I'm gonna see if I'm pinky thin. And I am. Don't roll these out too thin, or your mold bowl will end up being very weak. A hack for molding your bowls is to make sure you use enough oil. If you're out of oil, get some more. Shout out to the cafeteria ladies for providing me this industrial-sized cooking spray. Press your clay all the way down into the mold, making sure that it is taking that shape, and then trim off the top, and you should have a nice, neat, strong bowl that will be the base of your stand. The first hack to making a good stand is to start with nice, neat, pinky thick coils. The second hack is to attach those coils in the right spot, which is just a little bit inside, just a little bit smaller diameter than the very corner of the bowl. Find that corner of the bowl and then place it just inside of that. Then when the second coil goes on, scratch it, dab with water. Place that coil just a little bit inside the first coil so that we're getting that cone shape. And then when you wrap that third layer of coil around the top, wrap it just a little bit back to the outside. That's gonna let our coils go in and then back out for a cool kind of wine glass type shape. Press the coils firmly together and smooth them out. Then you're ready to attach the fountain piece to the stand. Now the bottom of your fountain may have gotten kind of dried out, so you should scratch it, dab with water, and repeat. Scratch it, dab with water. Keep doing this till the coil seems very fresh and sticky. Scratch and dab water onto the top of your stand as well. And before you press it down, line things up. Set it on there, make sure that everything's level, make sure that everything is centered. Tilt it, wiggle it, adjust it to get it where it needs to be. And then press it firmly onto the stand. If you're doing a 3-tiered fountain, the top tier of your fountain will need to be attached to the middle bowl. To do this, scratch it, dab with water. But again, these bowls may have dried out, making them difficult to attach. The hack for this is to roll out a thin coil, scratch it on both sides, dip it in water, and attach it to the bottom of the stand. This coil will act like glue, helping the stand bond to the bowl below it. Dab on some more water. Set the stand down, but before you press it down, make sure that everything is centered, make sure that everything is level. Then press it firmly down. Stitching and smoothing will increase the strength and bond even more. All the bowls and stands will connect, except the bottom stand to the bottom bowl of your fountain. Do not connect those. That needs to be able to be taken off so that we can put the fountain pump down in there. Another hack is to check and make sure that you have enough room in that bottom bowl to fit the pump. You may need to carve out some clay so that that pump fits easily in the bottom part of that stand. Make sure you don't carve out too much clay and mess up your stand when you do this. Shout out to Colin, I'm using his fountain for this part. It's a great example of a cool looking and strong fountain. The final hack has to do with how you put up and store the pieces of your fountain. If all your pieces fit together neatly without messing each other up with one little piece of newspaper in between, then that's awesome. Shout out to Cassie. Her bowls are perfectly sized and insanely neat. That's a perfect fountain. But sometimes your bowls might not fit neatly down inside of each other, and if you try to force them, you're gonna mess them up. Do not do that. If your bowls don't fit down inside each other, find the ones that do. Maybe the little bowl will fit down inside your big bowl, and if your medium bowl or your stand doesn't fit, Then start a second shelf. You can write your name directly on the shelf or on a piece of paper, and I'll put it in a plastic grocery bag later in the day. And I know I said that was the final hack, but I've actually got just one more. If you do really good work on at least one of your bowls, no matter what, even if the rest of your fountain falls apart, you're going to end up with a beautiful salad bowl. And there's nothing wrong with that. Shout out to Isabella for insanely good work on this bowl. Check out that spiral detail across the rim. Amazing. And I've got a few more quick shout outs because some insane work went down last week. Shout out Haji. Shout out Janelle for the creative heart rim. Shout out to Caden for a crazy shape on that second tier. Shout out to Luis for the braid and killer spouts. Shout out to Kimberly for this painstaking and beautiful flower petal rim. Shout out to Vanessa for intense spiky rim and a beautiful ornate rim. Shout out to Tristan. That is what craftsmanship looks like. Huge shout out to Adriana. This is fountain perfection. Shout out to Foster for these cool, dramatic, tongue-looking spouts. And to Austin for these imposing, twisted spikes along the rim of his fountain. That's some cool stuff so far. Time to keep going and use these hacks to finish off our fountains. Let's go.